My beloved brothers and sisters, some of you are listening right now with a heart that is exhausted, not because you lack faith, but because you have been holding on for too long without seeing relief. You have prayed, you have waited, and you have told yourself to stay patient, yet nothing seems to change. Listen carefully. There is a moment Allah waits for, a moment more powerful than your tears and more valuable than your words. When that moment arrives, help does not come slowly, and it does not come from where you expect. It arrives suddenly from a direction you never imagined, in a way that makes you understand why every delay had to happen. Stay with this message until the end, because what you are about to hear may be the very reason Allah opens that door for you. The moment you stop fighting Allah's decree. One of the most painful struggles a believer faces is not the hardship itself, but the inner battle that comes with it. You ask Allah for relief, yet inside your heart there is resistance. You replay the situation again and again. You ask why it had to be this way. You imagine how life could have been different, and without realizing it, you are fighting the very decree that Allah chose for you. Understand this clearly. Relief does not begin when the problem disappears. Relief begins when your heart stops arguing with Allah about why the problem exists. There is a difference between pain and rejection. Pain is part of this dunya. Rejection is when the heart turns away from Allah. Many people feel pain, but only some allow that pain to harden their hearts. The believer who receives Allah's help is not the one who never struggles, but the one who struggles while still saying, Ya Allah, you are wiser than me. The moment your heart accepts that Allah did not make a mistake with your life, something shifts inside you. The heaviness begins to loosen. The anger begins to soften. The confusion begins to settle. My beloved brothers and sisters, acceptance does not mean you stop making dua. Acceptance does not mean you enjoy the pain. Acceptance means you trust Allah even while the wound is still open. It means you say, Ya Allah, this hurts, but I know you chose this for a reason I cannot yet see. That sentence alone changes everything, because Allah does not open doors for hearts that accuse Him. He opens doors for hearts that surrender to Him. When you stop fighting Allah's decree, you stop exhausting your soul, you stop draining your iman, you stop carrying emotional weight that was never meant to stay with you. And it is at that exact moment that Allah begins to replace inner resistance with inner peace. Not because the test has ended, but because your heart has aligned with the one who controls the test. This is why two people can face the same hardship, yet only one finds relief quickly. One is still asking, why me? While the other has reached the stage of saying, Ya Allah, I place this in your hands. The first remains trapped in the pain. The second begins to experience Allah's help in unseen ways. A calm that cannot be explained. A door that suddenly opens. A strength that arrives without warning. My beloved brothers and sisters, if your heart feels restless today, ask yourself honestly, am I fighting Allah's decree or am I trusting it? Because the moment you stop fighting what Allah has written, you create space in your heart for the help Allah has already prepared for you. My beloved brothers and sisters, there is a dangerous illusion many believers live with, and they do not even realize it. They say they trust Allah, but their hearts are still relying on their own strength. They say they have tawakkul, but their peace rises and falls with outcomes, people and plans. True reliance on Allah is not a word you say. It is a state your heart reaches when it finally admits, Ya Allah, I cannot do this without you. Many delays in relief are not because Allah is unwilling to help, but because the heart has not yet let go of self-dependence. We plan, we calculate, we overthink, and we exhaust ourselves trying to control what was never in our control to begin with. We turn to Allah, but only after we have tried everything else. And then we wonder why relief feels slow. My beloved brothers and sisters, Allah does not want to be your last option. He wants to be your first reliance. True tawakkul is not passive. It does not mean you sit back and do nothing. It means you take the steps you can while your heart remains calm because it knows the result belongs to Allah alone. It means you work, but you are not enslaved by outcomes. It means you make dua, but you are not shattered by delays. It means you trust Allah so deeply that even uncertainty does not steal your peace. And Allah Himself reminds us of this reality in the Quran, a reminder that carries immense power for tired hearts. Allah says, وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بَالِغُ أَمْرِهِ قَدْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدْرًا. And whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Indeed, Allah will accomplish His purpose. Allah has already set for everything a measure. In the tilaha wa talahu wa dama. My beloved brothers and sisters, pause and let this verse sink into your heart. Whoever relies upon Allah, he is enough. Not partly enough, not sometimes enough. Enough in every sense. Enough when doors close. Enough when answers delay. Enough when people fail you. Enough when you are confused and afraid. Enough when you do not know what the next step looks like. When your heart truly reaches this level of reliance, something incredible happens. Fear begins to loosen its grip. Anxiety begins to quiet down. The future no longer feels terrifying, because you realize it is already in the hands of the most merciful. This is why Allah's help often arrives suddenly, because when the heart stops clinging to its own strength, it finally becomes light enough to receive divine assistance. My beloved brothers and sisters, ask yourself honestly today, is your heart relying on Allah or is it relying on control? Because control exhausts the soul, but tawakkul revives it. Control makes you restless, but reliance makes you steady. And when Allah sees a heart that has truly handed the matter over to Him, He takes responsibility for that servant in ways that defy logic. Help comes from places you never planned. Solutions appear where there were none. People show up without being called. Doors open without effort, not because you were powerful, but because Allah is sufficient. And when Allah becomes enough for you, nothing else needs to be. This is the moment help accelerates. Not when everything is perfect, but when the heart finally says, Ya Allah, you are enough for me. There is a level of patience that many people believe they have reached, but very few truly understand. It is easy to be patient when life is manageable. It is easy to be patient when answers are near. But the patience that brings Allah's help is the patience that remains intact when nothing seems to change. When days pass, nights repeat, and the heart quietly asks, how much longer? That is where patience is truly tested. Understand this carefully. There is a difference between speaking about your pain and complaining against Allah. Allah is not offended by your tears. Allah is not displeased by your sadness. Allah Himself knows the weight you carry before you even speak. But complaining against Allah is when the heart begins to question His wisdom, His timing, or His mercy. It is when the pain turns into accusation. And this is where many hearts unknowingly delay relief. My beloved brothers and sisters, patience is not pretending everything is fine. Patience is feeling the pain deeply while still believing that Allah is kinder to you than you are to yourself. It is waking up tired and still saying, Ya Allah, I trust you. It is making dua even when hope feels weak. It is holding your tongue when your heart wants to scream in frustration. This kind of patience is heavy, but it is precious in the sight of Allah. Many people wonder why their hardship feels prolonged. They have faith, they pray, they try to stay strong. But inside, their heart is constantly protesting the test, replaying the injustice, comparing their life to others, asking why relief came quickly for someone else but not for them. My beloved brothers and sisters, comparison poisons patience. It turns a test into torment. Allah did not measure your test against someone else's capacity. He measured it against yours. When patience becomes sincere, something shifts internally. The heart stops chasing answers and starts resting in trust. You may still feel pain, but it no longer controls you. You may still cry, but your tears no longer feel bitter. Instead, they become a form of worship, a silent conversation between you and Allah where words are no longer needed. This is why the most powerful moment of patience is not when you remain silent in front of people, but when you remain respectful in your heart toward Allah. When you stop saying, this is unfair, and begin saying, Ya Allah, give me strength to carry what you have chosen for me. That sentence alone changes the nature of the test. Because Allah responds differently to a heart that submits than to a heart that resists. My beloved brothers and sisters, Allah sees the one who remains patient even when patience feels heavy. He sees the one who restrains their tongue and guards their heart. He sees the one who continues to turn to Him without demanding timelines or explanations. And when Allah sees this level of patience, He sends relief in a way that heals not just the situation, but the soul itself. This is why some people come out of hardship broken, while others come out purified. The difference was not the test, the difference was the patience. When patience matures, Allah's help does not just remove the pain, it replaces it with wisdom, strength, and a peace that remains long after the hardship has ended. This is the moment when relief begins to move toward you, not because the pain has disappeared, but because your heart has become ready to receive what Allah has prepared for you. My beloved brothers and sisters, there comes a stage in every test where the pain is no longer just about what happened, but about how tightly the heart is holding on to outcomes, holding on to expectations, holding on to timelines, holding on to how things should have unfolded. And this grip, this silent clinging, is often what exhausts the soul more than the hardship itself. Many people believe they have surrendered to Allah, but deep inside they are still negotiating. They say, Ya Allah, I accept, but their hearts are still insisting on a specific result. They say, I trust you, but their peace collapses the moment things do not go their way. True surrender is not when you stop making effort. True surrender is when you stop demanding control. My beloved brothers and sisters, understand this clearly. You were never meant to carry the burden of outcomes. Allah did not ask you to manage the future. He did not ask you to predict what will happen next. He asked you to take the steps you can, make the dua you can, and then place the matter in His hands completely. The exhaustion you feel today may not be because life is too heavy, but because you are carrying what Allah never asked you to carry. There is a powerful shift that happens when the heart finally says, Ya Allah, I release this to you. Not in desperation, but in trust. Not because you have given up, but because you have realized that Allah is more capable of managing your affairs than you ever could be. This release does not happen overnight. It often comes after the heart has been stretched, disappointed, and humbled. But when it comes, it brings a calm that words cannot describe. My beloved brothers and sisters, letting go does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop suffocating your heart with fear. It means you allow Allah to rewrite the story without interfering with every line. It means you accept that Allah's wisdom may lead you through paths you did not choose, but always toward destinations that are better for you. This is why relief often arrives unexpectedly. Because when the heart finally loosens its grip, Allah moves swiftly. Not because He was waiting to help, but because the heart is now ready to receive help without being broken by it. Sometimes Allah delays relief because if it arrived earlier, it would not heal you, it would only satisfy you temporarily. When you truly let go, you begin to notice subtle changes. Your heart no longer races at every thought of the future. Your mind stops replaying the past with the same intensity. You still care, but you are no longer consumed. And this inner calm is not accidental. It is Allah replacing control with trust. My beloved brothers and sisters, this is the moment when Allah begins to rearrange things quietly. Conversations change, opportunities appear, burdens lighten. Not always immediately and not always dramatically, but surely. Because Allah responds to hearts that hand matters back to Him with sincerity. If you are holding on tightly today, ask yourself honestly, am I trusting Allah or am I trying to control what belongs to Him? Because the moment you let go, truly let go, is the moment Allah takes over. And when Allah takes over, help comes in ways that do not just solve the problem, but restore the heart. My beloved brothers and sisters, there is a return to Allah that comes with expectations, and there is a return that comes with surrender. Many people turn back to Allah only when they need something. They raise their hands, their hearts full of requests, their minds full of urgency, and Allah is most merciful. He still listens. But the return that transforms a life is not the return that says, Ya Allah, give me relief and then I will be close to you. It is the return that says, Ya Allah, I am coming back to you even if nothing changes. This is one of the hardest moments for the human heart because it strips away conditions. It removes bargaining. It removes hidden expectations. It is the moment when the servant stops treating Allah as a solution and starts treating Him as the destination. And this moment, my beloved brothers and sisters, is when help accelerates in ways the mind cannot comprehend. Many hearts are tired today, not because they lack faith, but because their relationship with Allah has become transactional. They pray with anxiety, they make dua with tension, they worship with fear of outcomes. And slowly, without realizing it, worship becomes heavy, dua becomes exhausting, iman feels fragile. This is not because Allah is distant, but because the heart is approaching Him with conditions. My beloved brothers and sisters, Allah does not want you to come to Him only when life is breaking you. He wants you to come to Him because you recognize that without Him, even ease is empty. The moment you return to Allah sincerely, not demanding immediate change, not measuring His response, not timing His mercy, something profound happens inside you. The heart softens, the ego humbles, the soul finally breathes. This is why Allah sometimes delays relief, not to punish you, but to purify your intention, to remove the part of your heart that only wanted Allah for an outcome. Because if Allah gave relief while the heart was still conditional, the heart would take the blessing and slowly drift away again. Allah loves you too much to allow that distance to return. My beloved brothers and sisters, reflect on this deeply. When you come back to Allah with sincerity, even your pain changes its nature. It no longer feels like rejection. It begins to feel like conversation, a dialogue between you and your Creator, a process of cleansing, a journey of nearness. And the heart begins to realize that being close to Allah is itself a form of relief. There are people who came back to Allah with broken hearts and left with healed souls. Even before their situation changed, their circumstances remained difficult, but their hearts were light. Their burdens remained, but their fear was gone. Their problems continued, but their peace was restored. This is not coincidence. This is the power of returning to Allah without conditions. When the heart reaches this stage, help begins to flow quietly. Not always in dramatic ways. Sometimes in clarity, sometimes in patience, sometimes in acceptance, sometimes in strength you did not know you had. And sometimes Allah changes the entire situation suddenly because the heart is now ready to receive ease without forgetting the one who sent it. My beloved brothers and sisters, this is why some people receive blessings and lose their way, while others receive blessings and grow closer to Allah. The difference was never the blessing. It was the state of the heart when it returned to Allah. A conditional heart becomes distracted by ease. A sincere heart becomes grateful through ease. Ask yourself honestly today, why am I turning to Allah? Is it only because you are desperate? Or is it because you recognize that Allah is the only one who understands you completely? The only one who knows the full weight of your struggle. The only one who sees what you never speak about. Because when the heart returns for Allah Himself, not just for relief, Allah honors that heart beyond expectation. My beloved brothers and sisters, the moment you return to Allah without conditions, your relationship with Him changes. Dua becomes intimate, not anxious. Worship becomes comforting, not heavy. Silence becomes meaningful, not lonely. And in that space, Allah sends help in ways that do not just solve your problem, but transform your entire outlook on life. This is the moment when you stop chasing signs and start recognizing mercy. When you stop asking, when will this end? And start saying, Ya Allah, stay with me through it. And Allah never abandons a heart that seeks Him sincerely. Help comes after this moment. Sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly, sometimes visibly, but always with wisdom, always with love, always in a way that brings you closer to Allah, not further away. This is not just a lesson, this is a turning point, because the heart that returns to Allah without conditions is a heart that Allah takes special care of. And when Allah takes care of a heart, no hardship can destroy it. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the heaviest weights a heart can carry is not what is happening today, but what it fears might happen tomorrow. Many people are not exhausted by their present reality, but by the future they keep replaying in their minds. Thoughts of what could go wrong, what might be lost, what may never improve. These fears quietly settle into the heart and drain it day after day, even though Allah has not written any of those imagined outcomes. Fear of the future often disguises itself as responsibility. A person tells themselves they are just being realistic, just being careful, just thinking ahead, but there is a line where preparation ends and distrust begins. When the heart starts believing that it must worry in order to survive, it slowly forgets that Allah is already present in the future. It fears. Allah never asked you to solve what has not yet arrived. He never asked you to carry outcomes that are still unseen. He never asked you to exhaust your heart with possibilities. He asked you to trust Him step by step, day by day, moment by moment. The fatigue you feel may not be from the trial itself, but from the unseen future you have been carrying as if it were already real. Fear becomes dangerous when it steals your ability to feel Allah's closeness. It pulls the heart away from the present moment where Allah's mercy is active and drags it into an imagined tomorrow where Allah's presence is forgotten. This is how peace quietly disappears, even when life itself has not collapsed. When a person truly trusts Allah with the unseen, something subtle but powerful changes inside them. The heart stops racing ahead of time. The mind stops building painful scenarios. The soul begins to rest, not because the future is guaranteed to be easy, but because it is guaranteed to be in Allah's hands. The unseen is not empty. It is already filled with Allah's decree. He knows what is coming. He knows what you can handle. He knows when strength must arrive and when relief must be delayed. And nothing reaches you unless Allah allows it. When the heart understands this, fear loses its authority. Many people believe that if they stop worrying, they will become careless. In reality, the opposite is true. Worry clouds judgment, while trust sharpens it. Fear weakens decision making, while reliance on Allah strengthens it. A heart that trusts Allah is calmer, more focused, and more capable of responding wisely when challenges actually appear. There is a moment when the heart finally says, I will stop fearing outcomes Allah never promised. That moment is not denial, it is faith. It is acknowledging that Allah exists not only in your present, but also in every future moment you have not yet reached. When this realization settles, the heart begins to feel protected again. This is often when help begins to arrive quietly, not always by changing the situation immediately, but by changing how the heart carries it. Calm replaces panic, strength replaces weakness, certainty replaces confusion. And these changes are not imagined. They are signs that Allah has responded. The future belongs entirely to Allah. And when you hand it back to Him, you reclaim your peace. You stop borrowing pain from tomorrow. You stop punishing your heart with fears that may never come. You begin to live in the safety of Allah's care. This is the moment fear loosens its grip. This is the moment trust becomes real. And when trust becomes real, Allah sends help in ways that settle the heart long before the situation itself changes. There comes a moment after exhaustion, after fear, after patience, after surrender, when the heart reaches a quiet conclusion, not spoken loudly, not announced to anyone, but felt deeply. It is the moment when the heart finally believes without hesitation and without condition that Allah is enough. Enough for what you lost, enough for what you fear, enough for what you still do not understand. And this moment, more than any other, is when relief stops being distant and begins to feel near. This belief is not a sentence you repeat. It is not a slogan. It is not something you force yourself to feel. It is something the heart arrives at after being stripped of false supports, after realizing that people can leave, plans can fail, strength can disappear, certainty can collapse, and yet Allah remains unchanged, unshaken, always present. When the heart truly understands this, it stops panicking at instability because it has found stability in Allah. Many people think they believe Allah is enough, but their hearts are still searching elsewhere for reassurance. They look for peace in answers, in signs, in outcomes, in people, in timelines. And every time those things fail them, their hearts shake again. True belief that Allah is enough means the heart no longer depends on certainty to feel safe. It depends on Allah. This does not mean the heart stops feeling pain. It means pain no longer defines it. It does not mean fear disappears completely. It means fear no longer controls decisions. It does not mean the future suddenly becomes clear. It means uncertainty no longer feels threatening. Because when Allah is enough, the heart knows it will never be left alone, no matter what lies ahead. This is why Allah sometimes allows a person to reach the edge of their strength, not to break them, but to free them. to remove the illusion that they were surviving on their own, to show them that every moment they endured was already supported by Him. And when the heart finally sees this truth, gratitude replaces panic and trust replaces desperation. At this stage, the heart stops rushing Allah. It no longer demands timelines. It no longer asks for guarantees. It no longer measures progress by visible change alone. It begins to recognize subtle mercies. The calm that appears for no reason. The strength that shows up unexpectedly. The clarity that settles after confusion. These are not small things. They are signs that Allah has taken responsibility for the heart. When Allah becomes enough, you stop interpreting delays as denial. You stop seeing closed doors as punishment. You stop assuming silence means abandonment. You understand that Allah works beyond your awareness. That He arranges outcomes before you even know what to ask for. That He protects you from things you never see coming. And this understanding brings a peace that is not dependent on circumstances. This is also the moment when relief, when it arrives, does not corrupt the heart. Because the heart is no longer desperate. It is grounded. It receives ease with humility, not entitlement. With gratitude, not arrogance. With awareness, not forgetfulness. And this is why Allah loves to send relief to hearts that believe He is enough. Because those hearts grow closer to Him through ease, not further away. There are people who receive relief and forget Allah. And there are people who receive relief and love Allah more. The difference was never the relief. It was the state of the heart before it arrived. A heart that already believed Allah was enough is a heart that remains faithful no matter how the situation changes. This belief also changes how you see yourself. You stop seeing yourself as abandoned. You stop seeing yourself as unlucky. You stop seeing yourself as broken beyond repair. You begin to see yourself as someone Allah has been carrying all along. Someone protected in unseen ways. Someone guided even through confusion. Someone whose story is still unfolding under Allah's care. When the heart reaches this level of belief, it becomes unshakable. Tests may still come, but they no longer destroy inner peace. Loss may still occur, but it no longer erases hope. Waiting may still continue, but it no longer feels empty. Because the heart knows that being with Allah is itself a form of arrival. This is the moment help truly arrives. Sometimes visibly, sometimes quietly, sometimes in the form you prayed for, sometimes in a form you did not recognize at first, but always in a way that proves Allah knew exactly what your heart needed. If you have reached this moment even partially, know that Allah has already honored you. And if you have not yet reached it, know that Allah is guiding you toward it gently, patiently, wisely. Nothing you are going through is wasted. Nothing you endured was unseen. And nothing you trusted Allah with will ever be lost. When Allah becomes enough for your heart, fear loses its voice, anxiety loses its power, and the future, no matter how uncertain, begins to feel safe again, because it belongs to Allah and you belong to Him. This is where the journey settles. Not because everything is solved, but because the heart has found its anchor, and a heart anchored in Allah is never truly in danger. My beloved brothers and sisters, if this message reached you while your heart feels heavy, understand that it did not reach you by accident. Allah knows exactly where you are in your struggle, even when you cannot explain it to anyone else. The delays you questioned, the tears you hid, the strength you thought you were losing, none of it was wasted. Allah was shaping your heart, preparing it for a level of trust and closeness that ease alone could never teach. Do not rush Allah's plan. Do not doubt His wisdom, and do not underestimate what He is doing quietly behind the scenes. Help does not always arrive with noise. Sometimes it arrives as calm, sometimes as clarity, sometimes as strength you did not know you had. And sometimes Allah changes everything all at once, at the exact moment your heart is ready. If you take nothing else from this reminder, take this with you. Allah has not forgotten you, Allah has not abandoned you, and Allah has not delayed your relief without purpose. Trust Him, walk toward Him, and know that the one who carried you this far will not leave you now. Oh Allah, we place our hearts in your care. Ease every burden that feels too heavy to carry. Replace fear with trust, confusion with clarity, and pain with peace. Oh Allah, send your help to every struggling heart from places they never imagined. Heal what is broken, strengthen what feels weak, and grant us contentment with your decree. Make us among those who rely on you completely, who trust you deeply, and who find peace in knowing that you are enough. Ameen.